What's going on?
We're going to need money.
Max Fun Drive. Max Fun
Drive.
Max Fun Drive.
The idea is to recruit new members.
Hey, it's the Greatest Gen Drive, also known as the Max Fun Drive, and we are asking you directly to support Greatest Generation and Greatest Trek by becoming a member today by going to MaximumFun.org/join and making a small monthly contribution to the production of this show.
The economics of podcasting aren't getting easier, that's for sure. And for that, there's Greatest Gen Drive. Greatest Gen Drive. Apply directly to the MaximumFun.org/join. That is a extremely tortured way of saying we're asking 100% of our viewership to go to MaximumFun.org/join and support the show.
If you already support, you probably already know how to boost or upgrade your membership. But if you don't, here's what you do. You go to MaximumFun.org/join, take a look at the tiers of membership and select the one that is right for your budget. Once you've done that, it'll take you to a page where you select which shows you'd like to support specifically. And we hope you will select the Greatest Generation and Greatest Trek. That money goes directly to the shows and forms the bulk of our operating budget. It's just, $5 or $10 a month that's coming out of your bank account. No big deal for most people, but it really means the world to us.
You might think that because our shows are on a network, the network pays us, and that's not true. You do. The network organizes the memberships and distributes the funds and whatever, but it's not like Maximum Fun pays us for doing our show. It's all coming from the listeners who enjoy it, and that means you. You can be a part of the 100% club by going to MaximumFun.org/join. You click on a support level as low as $5 a month, gets you in this club, and make sure our shows get to continue for yet another year.
We're going to be back a little bit later in the show to tell you a little bit more about the drive, but you can just skip those pledge breaks if you want to with impunity, as long as you have already gone to MaximumFun.org/join and either joined, boosted, or upgraded.
Here's to the finest crew in Starfleet.
When it comes to my crew, you won't get any argument from me.
This is a parody.
Paramount owns the song. Welcome to The Greatest Generation. It's a Star Trek podcast by a couple of guys who are just a little bit embarrassed about having a Star Trek podcast. I'm Ben Harrison.
I'm Adam Pranica.
We've been wanting a Mayweather episode.
Just like being back in the war.
Who are you?
Ensign Travis Mayweather.
Parents must be very proud.
When I was a kid, we called it the sweet spot.
Who are you?
I'm the helmsman.
I guess growing up a boomer has its advantages.
And your mom? Very proud.
That's true.
It takes practice.
Other than keeping Ensign Mayweather up at night, I'm not sure what we expect to accomplish here.
It's like, is this guy even a part of the show? Has been a feeling for a long time.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, was Mayweather in the little thumbnail on the streaming service? Is that what we're promised?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's in it on my little call sheet app that shows me who the actors' names were.
I think whether or not this is true, I think even asking the question makes my point. Do you remember another one of these happening for the character of Mayweather on Star Trek Enterprise now that we are 20 episodes into the second season?
I really don't. And
yeah,
I
same.
think that every season of TNG felt like it at least had one Data episode and one Troy episode. Like everyone in the main cast got to be the center of at least one, it felt like. And
it's kind of a suspicious bottle, right? Because you give Mayweather all this screen time. I kept thinking maybe this guy's going to die. And I didn't want that. This happens in Damon Lindelof shows all the time. Like, oh, we're getting near 30 minutes of screen time for this one character who I always thought was kind of on the periphery.
Right.
That's weird.
I mean, it's not unprecedented in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Also, Arium, suddenly the main character of this episode. What's that about?
Yeah, the Arium episode where both of us, I think, had to look up that character's name. Pretty great.
I'm excited about this one, Adam. Do you want to just jump right in?
I did a bunch of ab exercises before we got on mic, so I'm ready, Ben.
You look ready. You look absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
Cut, I would say.
Let's see if we achieve our gains in Star Trek Enterprise Season 2, Episode 20. It's called Horizon. And in the cold open, we learn how Mayweather gets those abs, right? By reading on the ceiling. You got to imagine he's like in a full crunch up there as he kind of Spider-Mans.
Oh, what a feeling reading on the ceiling. We've seen him chill up here before, right?
Yeah, this may be one of the only things we know about him is he likes to go to this area of the ship and get up on the ceiling.
But he's got to stop his little hang here because they're reversing course. They've got some sexy orders from sexual icon Admiral Forrest.
I'm so glad you described him like that. Here's another question, a lot like the other Mayweather question. Has Enterprise ever made it to a place without needing to divert? Feels like this is a way the show has operated for a little bit. Like, hey, we're on our way to a thing, just like we always try to be. Whoop. Sexual icon Admiral Forrest on the line. And we're glad it's on video.
What's Admiral Forrest's first name? Do we know? His nickname is Boomerang, but...
I mean, the logo makes it so.
Yeah.
I was going to say Thick Forest.
Are you saying because his pubic thatch is particularly lush?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So also suggestive is the mission that they're on. Enterprise is sent to observe a unique phenomena wherein a planet passes between two large gas giants and being in the middle of these two hot spheres makes things very hot for the thing in the middle. And Enterprise has been sent to watch.
Hot fuck action to the max, Jack.
I one time did a transcontinental flight in a middle seat between two gas giants, and it was no fun, let me tell you.
The thing about being in the middle of two large hot objects is the two large hot objects, like, this doesn't do anything for them. Like, it's purely for the thing in the middle.
Right.
Doing its thing.
Well, you know, some star systems like providing, you know.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's really what this mission is about. Figure out what's going on here. Who is into it, who isn't? Admiral Forrest would really like to know that.
It's a weird McLaughlin group.
Issue 1.
Because it kind of feels like they almost called Mayweather up to the bridge for his permission to change course. Like, they've been ordered to change course, but he's like being told why so that he can be like, all right, I'm going to go over to my station and like boop the button that changes course.
We're so used to seeing shift change and people having the con or the helm, people being tagged in and tagged out. I love the idea of there's no one there to do Mayweather's job. There's like a rope attached to his chair.
Yeah, there's a brick on the accelerator.
Hey, Mayweather, no one else knows the knot. Can you come and undo it?
We didn't want to have to use scissors.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're in Archer's clarinet rental room after this, and Mayweather, after taking the rope and brick off of his station, comes in to hit Archer up about something personal. He's like, hey, you know, while we're whipping around, we are kind of whipping sort of close by my family cargo ship, the Horizon. And in case you don't remember my backstory, and who would, my whole family works on this thing, and I basically grew up there, quit that job in order to work for Starfleet. And listen, it's just a 10-hour diversion on top of the transit that we're taking to do this other study. And that amount of time is hilarious to me. This is like the passenger on a road trip. If you're doing like Seattle to LA or something, and the passenger's like, hey, you know, while we're doing this, my family lives in Salt Lake City. Could we just hang a left and like, can you drop me off? And then maybe when you come back, you can pick me up. This does not seem convenient at all, and it seems like a huge ask.
It does, but it's not a huge ask as far as Archer is concerned. It's a hell yeah.
I think we can manage without you for a few days.
Thank you, sir.
We learned that Travis's father has been ailing, and we learned that his mom is both the ship's medic and the chief engineer.
Hey, Ben, kind of the same thing, right?
Before, what is the body but a biomechanical machine?
Precisely.
What is a ship but?
How are things working? How are they breaking down? How can I fix them? Yeah. Yeah.
I hope she has good bedside manner with that little warp core they got back there.
There's a moment in this scene that I really wanted to talk to you about, which is the line that Archer walks and occasionally crosses with the whole, Mayweather, I almost slummed it on a cargo ship. That could have been me.
Right.
And you have to be careful about how much interest you show in someone's life choices that you didn't personally take.
Right.
Do you ever run into this in real life?
Absolutely. I mean, when you're talking about where he went to college, it can really hit hard if somebody wanted to go to that college and didn't, or what you studied isn't what they studied or whatever. I feel like it comes up when you have kids and you have friends that don't have kids.
I think it most often comes up for me when I'm having retail encounters, because I used to work retail for a long time in a variety of areas. And I often want to have a cool exchange, an exchange that's hey, it's fine. You don't have to do that with me. I'm one of you. I used to be you.
Yeah.
But that comes off as shitty in this way that Archer, I feel came across a little bit shitty himself, Because
Mayweather has a ton of love for the people that do this work, and he's like, "Why didn't you do it?"
And what Archer isn't saying is kind of dodged a bullet there, didn't I?
I mean, Archer dodged a bullet, but also think of the bullet dodged by all of the poor people on that ship.
I mean, not by your dad, who clearly killed himself for working in such an awful place as long as he did.
By which I mean to say the Gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot wait to never hear Archer's long story about why he didn't become a cargo ship crew person.
Yeah, we are out of this scene and into engineering next. Trip Tucker is doing whatever he does at this specific station. I can't really figure it out. T'Pol rolls up to check in on the prep for this flyby. That's what Trip Tucker's doing, right? He's got to prepare the engines and the shielding for being this close to this thing going in between these two solar bodies. And, by the way, Trip has kind of pulled some strings with the ship's movie programmer, and it's Horror Movie Film Fest. And isn't it neat that Trip gets to make suggestions?
It is neat.
Is T'Pol interested in going or knowing any of this?
I have no interest in horror movies.
What were you understanding Trip's angle to be here? Because it didn't really hit like he was asking her out.
It felt like a pass to me.
It did?
Yeah. But the sort of pass that is almost undetectable, the sort of pass that you do when you don't want to put yourself out there at all to be denied. Just deny, hey, here are the facts of a situation that are coming up. We may be in the same place at the same time later.
Right.
And that's all it is. That feels like what Trip is doing.
Yes, but Trip is a grown-up. He's not in middle school.
I know.
I
know.
Because the terminology of date comes up way later when Archer gets involved, right?
Which was astounding in that moment.
Yeah. So I'm willing to hold space for this being the kind of date where one of the people on the date realizes they're on a date when they're on the date and is put in a terribly awkward position because of that.
And yet, from what I understand about modern dating, and I'm definitely not an expert, having been off the market for many years now, hangs are the thing that begin any sort of deeper relationship a lot of the time.
Right.
And maybe Trip's whole deal is like, hangs.
Just want to spend time with.
Yeah.
But like to Paul's entire deep E story on this episode is trying to get out of going to Frankenstein. And like, if it is a date or even just an invite to hang, like one of the acceptable answers to that is no. You know, why didn't she just say no?
Especially when she's so good at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's a question about horror movies, because we hear a little bit more about like their relevance or importance to Trip in this scene. Do you think like with the arc of horror being what it's been over the last 20 years, future horror is so horrible we couldn't even comprehend? Like, it's all the Captain's Log of Event Horizon for like 2 hours. And maybe even harder than that. Like if they were to watch a modern horror film on Enterprise during these missions, instead of the classic MGM monster film stuff that they seem to be consuming.
Yeah, I mean, the horror of today, like, I don't dare look at any of it. Like, your substances or whatever, no fucking way.
Oh, the substance was so fun. You would hate it.
I know.
I wish I got to see that movie in the theater. That was like one of those movies in my entire life. I regret that.
Wow.
I would have invited to Paul more directly to see The Substance with me. Were it to be playing.
I mean, that's the other question is like, what is Trip talking about? That Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and, you know, the Son of Frankenstein are the best of the genre. Like that's where the genre peaked in his mind.
I don't think those movies are anyone's favorite, and this just feels like a writer's flourish of like, I'm going to make a character point with Trip Tucker here. He's going to like classic movies.
Yeah. He's the Tom Paris of the show, isn't he?
Am I making any sense here?
He really is. You nailed it, didn't you?
If they had a holodeck, he'd be replicating a 1957 Cadillac to make out in.
Look, I'm definitely not going to begrudge any depiction of the love of film in the media I consume. There should be more of that, more appreciation of it. But it just feels very, very heavy. In a future world, it feels like there would be Miriam interests, not just the same interests show to show like we keep getting. You know?
Did you understand it to be that the chef is also the person who runs movie night?
I like that idea.
I feel like he said that in this scene.
I was confused by it. I didn't assume it, but now it makes sense.
Because what is a movie but a meal for the eyes and ears?
Chef's the best in Starfleet.
You're sort of the engineer of someone's social time. When you're the programmer of a film festival, right?
Sure. But also when you are preparing a meal for people to enjoy together, you know?
Yeah, when you're like threading the film through the sprockets. Aren't you basically like twisting a pile of pasta noodles onto a plate before setting it down in front of a diner? Is that not the same thing?
You know, I think you're right. I think it's exactly the same.
Hey, what does Mayweather's mom do over there? Does she also program movie night on the horizon? We need more information on that.
Reading Mayweather, get some lunch. They're shooting the breeze when Mayweather gets a call away to talk to his mom, and the music swells. Oh man, Mayweather's gonna love this. He loves talking to his mom. And we fade to commercial, and when we come back, Archer is logging about how there's been a tragedy in Mayweather's family.
We cut back to the bridge, and there's like a bunch of flower arrangements on Mayweather's chair.
They've spray painted a bicycle white and chained it to Mayweather's chair. Wait, what?
Speaking of the music, I found it very present in this entire episode in an unusual way. Did you feel this way?
It really was. Yeah, it felt like an old-fashioned series of music choices almost.
Well put. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Travis's dad had some little illness, like Phlox was going to go over and take a look, but nobody was that worried about it, and it somehow just claimed him. Travis is back in his anti-grav hang, and Archer comes to visit him and learns that not only has Travis's dad passed away, but Travis and he were not on great terms when this happened. His dad had been kind of miffed when he walked away from the family business to go join Starfleet. And now, they never had a chance to reconnect and squash the beef. So this is going to just be dangling over him in his memory of his father.
Ben, speaking of dangling, would you say that Mayweather is sitting Shiv upside down? Up there?
Yeah, I think that's technically correct.
We get a lot of those fun shots of people floating up and down in this scene.
Yeah.
Both Mayweather, floating up to the top, I think, is a different scene, and then coming down later on, and Archer going up in this scene. It looks really good when they do this. That unbroken sequence is nice.
They did a nice job.
I like to see it.
Yeah.
I wanted one more thing. Because the center of the cylinder is where the two forces of gravity achieve equilibrium, right? Isn't there a center part of the tunnel where if Mayweather dropped his book, would it stop in the middle?
Man, I don't know. Because there seems to be gravity. Yeah, gravity at the bottom and gravity at the top.
Which would seem to mean that there's a blend part of the section.
Yeah. There's a Lagrange point in the middle.
Great call. Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like it's too tricky to pull off. They get called away to the bridge and the book slowly falls and stays in the middle.
Right.
A little bit hungry for that last bit of effects work.
Yeah, I think that with the advent of CG, selling a weightlessness thing got so much easier because you can just have somebody's tricorder hovering in the air next to them.
Yeah. Hey, notable in this scene, Anthony Montgomery really goes through all the gears as an actor. I want to say that we've spent so little time with this character, it almost works against an actor and a character in a moment like this where it almost feels out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. I wish we had experienced more and different emotions out of him up until now, because what we get here is so profound and so deep out of him. It was almost too much for me in a I don't know you like that from a viewer and a character on TV kind of way. Did you get any of that?
I did. I mean, it feels like we're almost meeting the character in some ways.
Yeah, and I don't want to know too much too fast, and that's fucked up because we're almost at the end of season 2 on the show. That shouldn't be possible.
I also just got whiplash in this scene because Archer got this letter of recommendation from Mayweather's dad that Mayweather didn't know about, that seems to resolve the tension of wishing his dad was proud of him and finding out when his dad expressed himself to Archer, he was super proud.
But did you watch this scene a couple of times? I think this is Archer doing that I'm a great manager thing where I'm hearing my employee talk about a deficit in his life and going, I can fill that deficit with a story I can conjure. I'm not sure this letter actually exists.
Wow.
I think Archer makes this up.
He said he'd never met a more natural stick man in his life.
And that does seem like a weird thing for a dad to say about his son.
That term made me think of the author of a book called Stick and Rudder, which was a pilot manual for flying float planes.
Oh, wow.
That was written by a family friend of mine.
Whoa.
Outside of Seattle. Yeah,
No
Stick
way.
and Rudder. That's how you get him in there. That's how you get him in and out of a lake.
Yeah.
Face of the fart.
Fun. Drive. Max fun.
Drive.
Max fun. Drive.
The idea is to recruit new members.
Money.
I can't believe we're already through week 1 into week 2, the final week of the Greatest Gen Drive 2025. It is so important that we hit our goal of 100% of listeners supporting the show this week. So if you are hearing the sound of my voice, head to MaximumFun.org/join right now. Join, boost, or upgrade your membership today.
1 week left of Greatest Gen Drive. It's the most important time of year to support our show. You can do that by going to MaximumFun.org/join. MaximumFun.org/join is what you say when you're excited about the thing you're doing and you're getting the energy up because it's the final week of the drive. Woo! Oh!
And you're not punch drunk and tired of telling people why this is important because your show could literally end if they don't do this.
I'll never get tired of saying you gotta go to MaximumFun.org/join and support Greatest Gen in week 2 of Greatest Gen Drive.
Listen, you're familiar with streaming services where you can't watch anything until you pay them, right?
And sometimes on some streaming services, even when you pay them, they're completely unusable.
Well, yeah, certain streaming services that start with P and end with Paramount Plus are very frustrating to use, and that is simply not the case with the Greatest Generation and Greatest Trek.
I look forward to seeing you be sued for all of this slander.
What I'm saying is we put this out in the world for free, and you get to enjoy it whether or not you pay. But
would you like to enjoy it a little more? Mm-hmm. A little more than the rest of them? Maybe you've got a special relationship with the show. Would you like one of those?
You will if you start getting access to the bonus content, getting the full picture of the work that Adam and I do, because a significant chunk of episodes are behind the paywall, and you're not really a completionist unless you're going to MaximumFun.org/join and becoming a member. We've been making bonus content for years and years. There's over 60 episodes between this show and Greatest Trek. We've covered movies, we've covered episodes of the animated series, we've covered episodes of the original series, we've made fake true crime podcasts, we've done all kinds of wild stuff, and it is all back there in the bonus feed.
With more coming out every month.
More coming out every month. And when you go to MaximumFun.org/join and set your membership up, you're actually able to make a custom feed featuring the Max Fun shows you would like to get delivered to your podcatcher. It's super easy to do, and it just shows up like a regular podcast once you do it. And it's really a value add. We work really hard on those bonus episodes to make them really fun and great. And we can't do it without your support. We can't do any of this without your support. So head to MaximumFun.org/join and become a member today. We need 100% of you to become supporters in this Max Fun Drive.
I think we're going to do it this year, Ben. MaximumFun.org/join is where all 100% of our listeners go to support the show.
It is our duty to support money.
100%.
Money. Make it so. Make it so. Money.
If you support at the $5 level right now, thank you so much. You keep the show going. If you want to nudge it up to $10 a month, you get access to these special pins this year. A nub and bug pin, specifically. How nice would that look on your backpack?
Your denim jacket.
If you wear a suit to work, maybe on your lapel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That'll get some attention.
It's a really beautiful design. It is a nub and bug. It says peaceful coexistence under it. It's sort of like the Jesus fish, but it's a nub and bug.
Just so many places you could put a pin like this. I can't wait to see pictures. MaximumFun.org/join is where you go to upgrade from $5 to $10, and you can get yourself that pin.
If you aren't a member yet, you can start your membership at the $10 level and get that pin. Our goal is 100% of you becoming members, boosting your membership or upgrading this year, because frankly, the Greatest Generation really needs that kind of support this year to make a show like this possible. This is not really a very commercial show per se, but it is able to support a bunch of people's livelihoods because of member support, because people are passionate about what we do. So you might ask, how will my dollars be spent? Well, that support goes right to our show. Every microphone, every computer that we need to buy, It all costs money, and we need your help to defray those costs to get this show to you every week. So head to MaximumFun.org/join and become a member right now, because that's how this whole thing works. That's the business model.
When we started doing Greatest Generation almost 10 years ago, the costs were minimal. We had most of the stuff, and it was just me and Ben. But ever since then, on our way to becoming the biggest and best Star Trek podcast out there, stuff has gotten expensive, and that's what happens when you get popular. The expenses are only getting greater year after year, which is why we need your help right now at MaximumFun.org/join. For just $5 a month, you can help us afford the cost of doing Star Trek business.
You sure about that?
Dollar signs. What's going on? Money.
What is happening?
Make it so.
Our goal is 100% of you becoming members, boosting, or upgrading this year. And I know that there are people out there for whom adding a $5 expense every month is actually kind of burdensome. And the Friends of DeSoto are a really awesome group. They don't want to leave those folks behind. And the folks at the Discord have gone ahead and set up a website, dongshop.biz, DONGSHOP.biz. And that is where you can go to get a gift membership. They want to give you a membership for free just because you like the show and you need a little bit of help financially supporting it.
Ben, I keep typing in the URL and it's auto-correcting to Dong Soap. Dongsoap.biz that has nothing to do with these gift memberships. I just want to be clear.
We do make money selling Dong Soap on the side, but that's not our main line of business, and that's not what we're talking about right now.
I buy it by the case. I'm just going to say that. I need a lot of Dong Soap.
But this is all to say, gift memberships are available. We actually just talked to the very kind folks who set up this website, and they said, we have dozens of gift memberships available, and not that many people have signed up yet. So if you're wanting to support and it's just not in the cards for you yet, dongshop.biz. Go make it happen.
The folks at the Discord are great. The Discord's over at drunkshimoda.com. Dongshop.biz is where you can go for a gift membership. And with a gift membership, you get all the benefits of a regular $5 membership. You get access to the BOCO feed, and then you're going to get hooked. The way I was hooked, on Dong Soap.
If you're going to go to MaximumFun.org/join, though, and just set your membership up directly, let me just preview what it's going to be like. You're going to see all of the membership tiers, and you're going to select your tier, whether that's $5, $10, $20, whatever, all the way up to the whale tiers. You select which shows you would like to support. So we really hope you will select Greatest Generation and Greatest Trek among any other Max Fun shows you like. And then you put in your credit card information or your debit card or whatever. You can also prepay for a whole year if you'd rather not be billed monthly. Either way, you put that in and you're good as gold. You're good for a year. It will just happen in the background. But every time you listen to the show, you'll know, hey, I'm part of why this gets to exist in the world. I'm part of why I get to look forward to Monday mornings and listening to my buddies Ben and Adam yammer on about Star Trek. It's a pretty square deal. I think sometimes people get suspicious of this deal for being so square. There's got to be a catch. And there just isn't. We just want to make a silly show about Star Trek, and we want you to help cover a very small portion of the costs. It's a matter of scale. That's why we're asking 100% of you to support.
Can you blame them? I mean, think of all the stupid crap you've ever spent $5 a month on before. This isn't that.
Yeah.
This isn't like Dong Soap at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dong Soap, you really want to spend a premium. You want to get the nice stuff. You don't want to get the $5 Dong Soap.
And I have. Many times.
So head to MaximumFun.org/join and become a member, boost your membership, or upgrade your membership today.
Increase support to maximum. Increase support to maximum. Increase support to maximum. Increase support to maximum.
Let's fun drive.
Dollar signs.
Fun drive.
Dollar signs.
Fun drive.
Money. Money.
T'Pol has gone to Dr. Phlox and tried in vain to get him to come up with some medical reason why she can't go on this maybe date with Trip.
Hey, T'Pol, if you want to start throwing around the I have a headache as an excuse, maybe save a few of those for down the road. Don't use them all in one place, okay?
Yeah. If you find yourself, let's just say, married to this man,
Yeah.
I have a headache is going to be crucial then.
I have little doubt my headache will return.
It'll be pretty stale at that point if you start using them now. So Enterprise rolls up on the horizon, and Trip walks Mayweather to the docking ring, and he has a gift for him to bring over there, a bunch of stock photos of Mayweather, which are basically screen grabs from old episodes. And
I laughed so hard.
Only half of them are abs photos, and none of the photos are of Mayweather hanging from a ceiling having his brain sucked out by a space station supercomputer. Why not that one? That's an adventure.
The one in the upper left corner is just like a blank expression and 1,000-yard stare.
It's so bad. You've got to do better than these. Like, look, Trip, the sentiment is really cool. Like, that's nice. But these photos are fucking trash. They're so bad.
Of the characters on this show, I can think of Mayweather smiling by far the most.
Yeah.
Like, there are screen grabs to be gotten that don't look like this.
I love that a couple of the photos are like establishing shots of settings, like they're matte paintings of locations.
Yeah. Oh, here's Kronos. Your mom's going to love this. Oh, there's Delaware. Cool.
Hi, I'm in Delaware.
Do you think it would be wrong or inappropriate to use behind-the-scenes photos of the actors being together? Because I feel like that kind of stuff had to have existed. These actors must have been wearing their uniforms and like having lunch from Crafty or something, like posed together in a way that you would never see in a screen grab from an episode.
Right.
Like, I wonder if there's something weird about appropriating that for an episode in that way. But I'm telling you, if it were going to be possible, it would make a scene like this so much better. Like, don't show me the photographs if these are going to be the photographs.
I wonder if there's like a union reason for that. Because like we've got a good friend of the show, Denny, who's like a set photographer. Mm-hmm. And if you're not hired like by, under the union's aegis as the set photographer, but you show up to take pictures, it can be like a big deal.
That's got to be it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I wonder if like, they have those photos, but those, cost like $10,000 more to use them or some crazy shit.
I mean, I think we've told the story then. That is how you get a stock photo of Mayweather looking straight ahead while at work.
So we meet Mayweather's mom. This is Rihanna Mayweather. All I could think of, when the sun shines, it shines Mayweather. And now we're on this starship. You can stand under my Mayweather. I don't know.
You didn't want to go, now we're on the starship together? Together rhymes with Mayweather.
You're my son, I'm my Mayweather. But what about Umbrella? Like, that's where I'm getting stuck,
Yeah, all right. I was trying to tie abs and fella and hella. Like, with abs like hella, Ella, Fella's got abs like hella, Ella,
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll get it together, and there'll be something after the credits for people, I think.
Yeah. Mrs. Mayweather is holding onto her son's arm like she needs him to walk. There is a fragility to her that I think is apparent right away, even though she has so many jobs. She's very put upon, I think, as a crew person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She is just so happy to see her son. And when the ship goes to warp, it's clear that she was holding on to him for a variety of reasons, one of which is like, you don't want to fall down when the ship goes to warp, because a ship this old, once it hits the gas, it can throw around the bangers.
Yeah, it sure can. So, the warp jumps are bumpy. Mom is catching up with her good boy about how dangerous she's worried his job being on Star Trek might be. And he's like, no, Mom, like, it's really... I'm in the main cast, like I'm not a red shirt, like nothing bad happens to me. I only ever get my brain sucked out like once a season.
Yeah. And in the horror movie way, not in the sexual way. Absolutely nothing sexual happens to me, Mayweather, on this show.
Yeah. My gutters remain uncombed in.
I mean, one way to further desexualize this character is to walk him to his old quarters, which has been decorated museum-like in the way that they were left. Like, this is a child's room.
Yeah.
He is escorted to. It's too bad that there seems to be kind of a mother-boy aspect to this relationship. I didn't like that. Good for Mayweather for escaping the nest.
Yeah, especially given the like dynamic that is clearly at play like later in the episode. Every time he needs to go back to his quarters and slam his door because his brother is acting like a prick.
Yeah.
Coming back to his like Sesame Street posters or whatever. It's gotta just be like, damn it, no!
You get the sense that like room is scarce on this ship. We meet a bunch of folks aboard who have all kinds of relationships to the Mayweathers, but I wanted to meet the one who gave up their quarters so that it could be decorated in this weird throwback kind of way.
Yeah. We meet Paul, Travis's brother, who is acting as captain in the wake of their father passing. And we learn that he is kind of scrambling to catch up to this job because their dad was kind of old school, like kept a lot of the inventory of the ship in his head. And so they're like looking all over the place for things that they need to deliver places. And there's a ton of extras in the scene. I was like, oh, like this cargo ship is not quite the small, hard scrabble crew that I was envisioning. Like there's like a lot of people here, and
I think your description is spot on, Ben. I was looking for grizzled people because the stories we hear about working cargo are that the ships are grizzled. Like the ships are difficult places to live and work. And I was expecting a crew that kind of mirrored that sensibility.
Yeah.
But no, everyone's, save for the mom, like fairly youthful and not all scrubby and dirty like they're working on an oil rig, you know?
Yeah, I've been watching that show, The Rig, on I think it's on Prime, and like all of the actors are like very good looking, generally speaking, but like most of them have Scottish accents, and so I totally believe them as like rough and tumble, you know, because it's just like you're like, we've got to get down to the bottom of this ladder and tighten the bolts before the rig falls apart. And you know, that's all you need to do to sell me on this person is salty and tough, you know? If only Mayweather's mom had a Scottish accent is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Speaking of selling, we are beginning to buy the idea that Mayweather's a little bit fish out of water returning home. Like, he can go home, but like between wearing the uniform of Enterprise and like the way he acts, there's some friction here between him and everyone else he encounters. And I mean, that's pretty direct at the end of this scene when Paul's like, hey, why don't you ditch the uniform? Like, you're not doing yourself any favors fitting in wearing that thing.
Ditch the jumper. Get with the... I don't know.
Get with the humper, as in go back to your quarters and hump your mattress like you used to do when you were going through puberty.
Yeah.
I'm Paul. I'm your brother. I know all about that.
Do you get the sense that Paul is the little brother?
This is such a good question. Because I think knowing that kind of changes the energy between them.
Right.
In all kinds of ways. If he is the older brother, I could, like, it makes Mayweather's decision to leave make more sense because, like, were his dad to die, he would never be next up to be captain the way Paul is, so why don't you just bail and make your own way?
Join the clergy.
But if he is the older brother and it were his to be in line for, that makes his decision maybe even more interesting that he would avoid it for that reason.
Well, and it also changes the vibes of the whole, like, oh, Paul's not ready for this. Like, he's not doing a good job because he's not ready.
It should have never been Paul. It should have always
Right.
been Travis, that kind of thing.
I didn't catch anything about it in dialogue, which of
Same.
the two was the older. And
Look,
I
Ben,
was dying to know.
You barely get it in dialogue that they're brothers.
I know.
That wasn't a bit of knowledge that I had an immediate access to. Like, it took me a little while to get on their level.
Totally. Back on The Entrepreneur, Trip is still sort of chasing to Paul on the idea of going to this screening of Frankenstein. This is where Archer steps in and sort of insists and makes it a date. What do you think he meant by "I'll be a perfect gentleman," Adam?
It's interesting that you get two depictions of workplace passes being done. In the Trip version, he's so laid back in the cut that you wouldn't even perceive that it's a pass being made or a date being proffered.
Yeah.
In a way that you're like, you can't damage Trip for turning him down or whatever. Like, you can't hurt him. It wasn't even a date. What are you talking about? You're the one that's making this weird.
Yeah.
But with Archer is so over the top with the dateness. I think it works in exactly the same way. And I wasn't being serious.
Yeah.
I'm being super date guy, and of course it's not a date. Like, that's absurd.
Yeah.
That was the energy that I got behind it. Like, this was not a date. This was someone joking around.
Yeah. But then I'm like wondering if it was ever a date with Trip, because it doesn't seem like they are in competition with each other for T'Pol's affection.
Except when Trip goes around the corner to the turbo lift and he flashes Archer that you're next up. You're next up at the plate. I definitely got a sense of the, well, if it's not going to be me, I hope it's you kind ofness.
Oh, it's like
them.
the business travel guys that try to hit on J-Lo in Out of Sight.
I kind of got that. I'm tagging you in, bro. Like, it's not going to be me.
Jeez. Maybe.
I mean, that is subtext. But the energy is weird.
The vibes are very strange. So Travis has been upgrading things all over the bridge of the Horizon, and his brother comes back from somewhere else on the ship and is like, what are you doing? Why are you changing things about the ship where if they break, nobody here is going to know what to do about it or how to fix it? Don't do things to my ship without running them by me, the captain. Pretty reasonable, I thought.
This is just classic parent stay at your place for a while and all of a sudden your thermostat's fucked. Or like you loan your car to someone and all your radio stations, your favorites are all changed. Like,
what are you doing?
I'm not on Captain Paul's side for so much of this, but this moment I think felt real. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, we got a way that we do stuff, and if you go and make a bunch of upgrades and you're out of here, what are we supposed to do about it? Like, you're making it impossible for us to do our work. The way he contextualizes his beef makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
But I really don't love the ball clobbering at the end.
Maybe you can stop by engineering. Build us a Warp 5 engine.
Like, he really kind of gets him on the way out the door.
Totally.
In a way that I feel like, because they're brothers, you can get away with that between two characters in a way that if they weren't related, I don't know if that flies.
Yeah, it'd be like way over the line, Paul, would be your reaction as a viewer.
Yeah.
I mean, the clapback is like these are easy upgrades that I can teach you guys to maintain. Like, I'm not an engineer. I got these from our engineer, and if he was able to teach me, I'll be able to teach you.
Right.
But we don't have time for that because we've got to go back to the childhood bedroom where a young woman, like an age-appropriate love interest for Travis, stops by and is like, oh, yeah, like that Paul, definitely not ready. Like, people are a little stressed about him.
She walks in carrying 2 tall pitchers of ice water, dumps one on her junk and on his, just to make it totally clear that there is absolutely no sexual energy between them whatsoever.
There's not going to be anything moving between gas giants in this scene or any other.
She is an absolute smoke show. like a recognizable hot 90s actress that has been in a ton of shit.
Yeah.
It was tragic that she's there and she's known Travis forever. And it's just like, she infantilizes him immediately. And why wouldn't you? He's inside his childhood room, decorated in his childhood way.
Yeah.
It's so awful. His mom did him so dirty with that, like pre-decorating the room. Oh, that sucks.
Getting his stuffed Moopsie out of storage and putting it in the room for him.
Moopsie.
She's like, something smells familiar. I can't quite put my finger on it. Like, I think it's your Moopsie. Oh, no. No, I do not want to touch it. Travis like pulls Moopsie off of the pillow and it's like, it sounds like peeling Velcro.
Yeah, we actually put your pillow and your Moopsie in storage together because we didn't want to try and get in there.
So Nora has been friends with Travis since they were little, and she feels like because of their long history, she can confide in him a couple of difficult things. One, you and I will never have sex, ever, 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 ever. And two, things on the ship have kind of gone downhill since your dad died. Like, we're kind of missing the drops, and our schedule's been slipping. And I just got to ask, do you think Paul is the right one for the big chair? Because that's the question the crew's been asking for a while.
Yeah.
And if someone like Paul got the job after his dad died, what part of Mayweather thinks the job could have been his is a question in all capitals that popped into my head because of this scene.
Totally.
This is the subtext that I wanted throughout the episode that is totally absent. I wanted the conflict in Mayweather, not just about being treated like a child for being on the ship, but for like imagining a future where it's not Paul and it's him and what that would mean for his entire family.
I feel like it is very much the subtext of this scene, but it's never made textual. It's like it never like spills out into the open in a way that would force a conflict between him and Paul in those terms.
Yeah. What we needed is a Jean-Luc and Robert roll around in the mud scene in this episode. We really needed it to go that hard.
Damn you. It did. So turbulence is not turbulence. Turbulence is WEPs. And they go up to the bridge, and the ship is under attack by some marauding fighters.
Like the bangers hit while Nora and Mayweather is talking, and Nora is like holding on super hard to like something very far away from Mayweather so they won't accidentally run into each other.
Yeah. This is not going to be a to Paul boobs on the face fall. That is not happening.
Couldn't have
Travis,
that.
get it out of your head. It's not happening.
We're going reverse shot on this sequence. We're never going to be in the same frame.
We might as well shoot it on different days. So up on the bridge, Paul is learning about the attack and decides not to fight back, but to run. And as the ship is speeding up to get the hell out of there, these marauders shoot something that clamps onto their hull. And we learn pretty quickly that this thing is emitting a subspace signal. It's a beacon, and it is loaded with high-yield explosives. So if they want to go try and unclamp it from their hull, it will probably wreck their ship and kill whoever does that.
Yeah. And it would probably stab through anyone's leg that was out in like an EV suit nearby too.
Yeah. They learned that the ECS Constellation, one of their sister ships in the fleet, has been subject to the same kind of piracy.
I like this method, right? Like a ship comes through and tags them, another ship comes through and bags them.
Yeah. And so Travis is like, well, let's get out there and get rid of that beacon. Like, we can figure this out. And Paul's like, no. Like, we are basically defenseless out here. We have a couple of little cannons. Like, we're not picking a fight with these guys. And he just wants to dump their cargo and run as fast as they can to a space station.
Do you think this episode wants us to root for Mayweather above every other character? This scene made me wonder, because when Mayweather starts name dropping a bunch of Enterprise crew people while he's proposing ideas, I was like, there is nothing more annoying than this. This fucking sucks. And I like Mayweather.
Yeah.
But don't do that.
I think it's about him learning that like their context is not his context, and like the things that the entrepreneur can do and the kinds of choices that the people on it make are just not available to the kind of people that run these freighters.
But they don't know the people he's talking about. That's what made it so absurd sounding to me.
I kind of felt like they're like, you know, they read about him in the news kind of a thing. You didn't think that?
I didn't. I guess you could tie it to that earlier scene where the mom figure has been reading the press clippings of his adventures and does have some special knowledge of what he's up to.
Yeah. I mean, he gets overruled by Paul, and Mom is like the last one there to like comfort him and say like, you know, hey, you got to like let this play out the way he wants to because he's the captain of the ship. But yeah, he's like feeling some pretty strong feelings about his brother at this point.
Yeah.
And we cut back over to Enterprise where movie night has finally started. And we learned some pretty horrific things about T'Pol and Phlox in this scene. T'Pol is the kind of person who fucks around on her phone in the movie theater. And Phlox is a movie talker.
Pretty awful revelations about both characters.
And also T'Pol is like not only been dicking around on her phone during the movie, but is also self-righteous when she turns back to scold Phlox. Like, no, you weren't behaving well either.
Agreed. They're both behaving badly, but T'Pol telling Phlox to shut the fuck up felt righteous and good.
Yeah.
I did like seeing that.
There was a Seinfeldian-ness to the way that line was written, too.
Yeah, agreed.
We can stop the film if it's disturbing your conversation.
I would love it!
It was good. So on the bridge of the Horizon, one of the crew people notices that Impulse is being rerouted. And this is something that Mayweather suggested about like how Reed tied the impulse power into their phase cannons so that they could shoot, you know, higher yield shots. And Paul goes down to some panel that Travis has opened up and confronts him. And this is the scene where I wanted it to be like Travis saying, like, I'm starting to wonder if I need to quit Starfleet and come back and take my rightful position as leader of this ship or something. Because he is like throwing leadership quotes at Paul.
Right. And there's the invocation of their father and what he believed or thought about things in this scene that's kind of weaponized. Both brothers use that, but in a way that I wanted more of, like in a more direct kind of way, like in a dad thought you were shitty and I should have been captain kind of way. Like,
right.
I wanted the two brothers to fight harder than like what we talked about before, like how brothers can fight harder than any two other people who are just friends. Like, I wanted this scene to be most representative of that.
Yeah, there should have been like a big sloppy mud area in this bay where once Travis was done with the impulse power reroute, they could flop over into that.
Do you think they thought about having them physically fight and chose against it intentionally?
Yeah, and I'm like over here squeegeeing this mud, and I could get in the middle. I'm not usually that close to anybody, but I could like run across the mud and get in the middle and try and separate them. Hey, Egypt, what do you think about that? Can I be back on the show?
You know more about me than Travis Mayweather. I've been in many more shows.
My hopes, my dreams, they're all laid bare for you. Whereas Mayweather, we mainly know that he never skips half day.
Hey, you want to know who could have been a sexual interest for Nora? Me, Egypt's brother. I'll make her wet and dry.
Next time bangers land on the ship, you'll notice she is not holding on that tight. She is looking to fall into someone. Me, Icheb's brother.
Hey, Nora, that's not a mop handle. In the Horizon mess hall later, Mom strolls in. What I think is funny about this scene is that everyone's facing the camera, like, like it's a row of desks in a classroom environment. Like everyone's eating facing the same way, even though they're all like at round tables. That was very funny to me.
There's a lunch proctor that's like keeping the timer and is like, okay, forks down, course is over.
Related to the whole like school vibes of this scene is Mom having a real bad day at school energy with her son. Mm-hmm. Like she's ready to hear all about this. And Mayweather tells her that, I should say Travis, because they're both Mayweathers.
Everyone's Mayweather.
Travis tells his mom, like, I'm thinking about turning this shore leave into an extendo leave in order to stay and help because clearly you guys need it. And the mom, to her credit, recognizes that this would be a step back for her son and his career ambitions, and she convinces him to reconsider.
Yeah. She also reassures him that there's just some growing pains that Paul is going through as captain that all captains go through. And she cites her late husband having been pretty poor at the job when he first stepped into it, having a lot to learn about leadership and, having been an engineer before that. And Travis is like, yeah, come to think of it, like the captain on my ship is like, I mean, we're kind of hoping he'll start to come into his own soon. Like he's still really learning the ropes. It's not really clear that he has any particular aptitude for it. And so, yeah, that's actually really reassuring. Like, this, at least the stakes are a lot lower with Paul, like he, in fact, may be more gifted just naturally as a captain than the other key captain in my life. Come to think of it.
It's really true. There's a funny kind of equation that the mother figure has kind of done throughout this episode where, like, in the beginning, I was like, this is gross. Like, decorating the room like it was when he was a child and treating him like a child. But what that does is sort of support what she's saying here is that, like, look, by coming back here, it's a step backwards in every conceivable way. Nora doesn't see you like an adult, obviously. I mean, we could have a long talk about you and Nora's weird situation. We'll leave that for another time. But like the infantilization of returning here is something that you're able to escape by continuing down the road with your Starfleet ambitions. So you got to stay on this road, dude.
Wow.
Grow up.
She was really playing 3D chess when she put the fucking Moopsie doll in his room.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The shit's chess. It ain't checkers.
Wow. So it's now post-dinner hangs for Archer, Trip, and T'Pol, who are talking about the themes of Frankenstein and what Vulcans do to freak themselves out. They, in fact, do have some form of media that is meant to be horrific, but it's just about, like, can you sit through this and not have an emotional reaction to it? Mm-hmm. But she's also very interested in the way the villagers treat Frankenstein's monster in a way that is not dissimilar from the way some humans treated Vulcans when they first came into contact.
Maybe inviting her to movie night wasn't such a great idea.
I've read Frankenstein. I haven't seen that specific movie of it. So I don't have a lot to go on in this conversation. I kind of felt like bad that I hadn't seen it because I was like, I don't know exactly how this movie plays that, because I feel like those themes are in the book, but
the idea of like torches and pitchforks at the Vulcans by the humans is an interesting moment to consider.
Yeah, totally. But Trip and Archer seem like really surprised to hear that the monster might like receive any sympathy by the viewer. So I don't know, like maybe in the movie the monster is just horrific. I don't know. Anyways,
yeah.
Eruptions start on the planet and they get to look out the window at that. They take the ship into higher orbit. There's like a quick reference to there being biosigns on the planet that are like coming up from deep underneath as the eruptions start. That doesn't like play into anything in the episode.
I fucking love that moment. Hey, the entire surface of this planet is exploding and getting covered in lava. And also I think something is alive down there. All right, let's go back over to the Horizon cargo ship. Certainly we'll pick this up where we left off.
Yeah.
We cut over to the Horizon ship where absolutely nothing is bubbling up and erupting for Travis Mayweather.
Yeah, they do a cool thing where they kind of show it's a little bit like The Life Aquatic, where they show the entire ship in cross-section, and you can see that Nora could not be further on the ship from Travis. She's as far as it is physically possible to be. Yeah, so the aliens are attacking them now, and this is the big cruiser that we were told about, and they want the whole ship. They're not just mugging them for their cargo like they did the other ones. And Paul is like begging for mercy, like, we're so far from home, like, you could take our cargo, but just leave our ship. And that's a no deal.
Yeah, would you say this is a negotiating strategy by him? This felt laughable to me. This is the moment where I feel like in a lot of shows, someone else would step up. There's another crew person behind Paul in a lot of these scenes that kind of gets reaction shots.
Yeah.
What I wanted was that guy to go, all right, who wants to mutiny with me? Like, this guy fucking sucks.
But no, Paul is the one that changes course. He decides to fight back, and there's a pretty fun, like, high warp action sequence where they decide to cut loose their cargo, and the cargo ship becomes quite small and maneuverable when it's not got all the stuff that it's hauling, and it can really move. And Travis is able to knock out the other ship's propulsion and weps.
We gotta have weps. He's the key.
This is a big win for Captain Paul.
Yeah. It's a big win that I don't think Paul expected because of how weak his fucking trash talk was before they link back up with the cargo and get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
I'll give you our cargo, but not our ship.
Like, oh, maybe refine that a little bit, Paul, before your next combat interaction. So finally, Travis is packing up in his quarters, and Paul comes by to let him know that he's only got 20 minutes to say his goodbyes. That's not enough time to remove the alien beacon that's still stuck on the ship, though. That's another hanging thing in this episode, along with the living beings on the lava planet.
And the story of Archer thinking he was going to become some kind of freighter captain and deciding not to.
Is there anything that we know about the crew or its abilities that makes you believe they will be able to get this thing off of their ship? Like, scrape the bottom of it with a razor blade and...
No, Reed's gonna help them.
You think so? The last time Reed tried something like that, he got his leg punctured through and through.
That was like one of my favorite lines in the episode. He said Reed's gonna go over there, and like, I feel like implied in that is Reed is getting his fucking his leg impaled again.
I need something to do on this ship, Commander.
Fair enough. I'm just hoping we don't keep you quite so busy.
It's a scene that lets us know that things are going to be okay between the brothers. And that's, I think, unfortunately made easier because one of them gets to stay captain and the other one is leaving.
Yeah.
And I think because there was never any friction between them over that aspect of it, this moment of peace at the end feels a little light.
Yeah.
You know?
It does. It feels light, and I think only works for me in the context of we are setting Paul up to be somebody that we see every so often. Like, you know, if he pops up next season, like, there is signs of improvement between them, but like potentially still a ton of friction would be an interesting way to set it up. But I don't think that they bring this character back, unless I'm mistaken.
And it's too bad, too, because I would like to see more friction between the cargo fleet and Starfleet.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think it's interesting how there is some animosity between these two camps.
Yeah. Travis does not tell the captain about the adventure that he had. And that's our episode, Adam. How did you like this episode of Star Trek Enterprise?
I think it was a little rocky for all the reasons stated. I mean, we have been hungry for more Mayweather backstory, and I think I came away feeling a little undernourished in this episode in that way. Like, neat to meet his family. Kind of wish the family was more interesting. kind of wish Mayweather left an ex-girlfriend on the ship who wondered why the hell he lit out on them. You know, like, I wanted more conflict, and that the conflict we got was just kind of weak, left me wanting. Like, I wanted conflict from every direction for Mayweather to come home to, and not having gotten it did not help me know him any better in a way that I want to. So this is definitely not a desire to see him Miles O'Brien, you know, constantly, where his adventures end up hurting him, and that's how we get to know the character. I would like more conflicts with him so that we get to learn those things.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was like making my way through this episode, and I think I was like 15 minutes in, and I had to stop to do some other work stuff before I finished watching it. And when I came back to it, I was like trying to read back through my notes to like figure out like what the conflicts were and what the storylines were, like what we were worried about, what we were hoping might happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's like 15 minutes into this episode, like that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And I'm super down for a quiet character study episode of Star Trek. Like, I think Star Trek does those episodes really well, and sometimes those are my favorite kinds of episodes. But I feel like this one felt like it was like close to some very interesting themes, but it didn't quite articulate them, and so it just didn't wind up working, you know?
When you grow up in a place and spend decades there the way Travis did, and then you leave that place, and then you go back to more than just one problem or one person you had a history with.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I think that's the part of it that felt insincere to me and so written, is that like he goes back home and he has one problem, and it's with his brother.
Mm-hmm.
That scene with Reed in the mess hall where he's like, it's crazy when you work on a cargo ship because you work with your babysitter or whatever. Like, and then when we go to the cargo ship and we don't get every single scene being with someone Mayweather's got beef with or knows or what have you, that was a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
Like, show me all that. Don't tell me.
Just show it to me.
Yeah. Show it to me like two hot suns and a thick planet between, getting warmed up.
Erupting.
Yeah.
Signs of life.
Yeah. Signs of life we ignore. Let's not ignore the signs of life we have in the Priority 1 message inbox. Ben, you want to check those out?
Let's do it.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
It is the final week of Greatest Gen Drive, and that means it's the final moments you have to support the show by going to MaximumFun.org/join. We're asking you to support Greatest Gen and Greatest Trek at the $5 level. At this level, you get a ton of bonus material. You get our monthly bonus episodes that we've been recording and releasing for years and years. There are 60-ish bonus episodes that we've recorded. They're all waiting for you at the $5 level, and you can get at them by going to MaximumFun.org/join. You ever think about how Mayweather gets those abs? Mayweather's not just working out one time. He's working out every month, once a month. That's sort of like what we're asking you for here during the Greatest Gen Drive. MaximumFun.org/join is where you go to make that possible. And look, I'm not making any promises, but an ab or two might come in if you start regularly supporting the show.
You'll have a veritable washboard of support if you support what we do here at The Greatest Generation by going to MaximumFun.org/join. Hey, listen, this is the second week of the drive, which means it's our last week of the drive all year. And our goal is to hit 100% of listeners becoming supporters this year. So if you are listening and you're not currently a supporter, it's most important for you to become a new supporter by going to MaximumFun.org/join. But if you're already a supporter, you're not off the hook. We need you to boost or upgrade by going to MaximumFun.org/join.
Increase support, the maximum. Increase support, the maximum. Increase support, the maximum. Increase support, the maximum.
Let's fun drive. $sign. Fun
Drive.
$sign. Fun drive.
Money.
I'm a consumer of podcasts. They are a part of my life and my routine. just like I know they're a part of yours. You don't want to imagine a Monday where a new Greatest Gen doesn't come out because we didn't have enough support to make the show possible. Uxbridge Shimoda is a group of folks who are committed to making this great thing for you to enjoy, but that's only made possible through the support we get at MaximumFun.org/join. So get in there, ensure our future, ensure your own future of waking up on Mondays and Friday mornings with fresh episodes. MaximumFun.org/join.
Adam, I have a really good friend who had a podcast for 1 year, and it got a pretty substantial listenership, but not enough for the major brand name network that this show was on. And her show was canceled, like a TV show that doesn't get ratings.
Yeah.
That can never happen to our show because of the member support we get. The only thing that would cause our show to end would be not enough member support. So we need 100% of our listeners to go to MaximumFun.org/join. And that means you. Like you're not off the hook if you're already supporting. We're hoping you will boost or upgrade. And if you aren't already a supporter, this is the sign you need that it is time to become a listener supporter. MaximumFun.org/join. It's $5 a month to get on board and to get it started. It makes a massive difference in our ability to bring this show to you every week.
And if you won't take it from us, take it from some friends of DeSoto who are supporters right now.
Hey, my name is Ruth.
My name is Peter the Norse.
I'm Rick.
My name is Isaac, and I've been listening to The Greatest Generation since the end of their TNG reviews when they started watching DS9.
I support Max Fun because I get hours of awesome content every week from people who seem to share my values.
And I support The Greatest Generation at MaximumFun.org/join because I like what they do.
I support the Uxbridge Shimoda family of podcasts because I listen to all of them.
These goofballs have brought immeasurable joy to my life.
If you feel the same way and you can cough up $5 a month, you should support them too at MaximumFun.org/join.
Supporting the Uxbridge Shimoda family of podcasts to help Ben and Adam make wonderful pod, including the bonus episodes